everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Write, Publish, Connect. My name is Aaxel Nazzaro, founder of the Aaxel Author Group, and today I am speaking to an author duo that we have worked with on multiple books, Martine and Martina, mother and daughter duo. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what's really interesting about you guys is the two of you, your book projects have been very unique. You know, they haven't been children's books. They have really fallen almost into their own genre. So Martine, if you had to describe your genre, what would you say, just like in one sentence? Because it's really unique.
I know. In one sentence. I think it's the art of time. I think we named our first book the right way, because I think the goal is to publish a book every year throughout our homeschooling journey, and with the theme of art and poetry and short stories in mind. Just watching the progression of how we develop and grow. I think that's the genre, is growth, maybe.
Very cool. So why don't you tell me how this all started way back with the first book, The Art of Time? How did the idea come about? Because maybe just for the sake of the audience, we'll just mention that these books are indeed, they're like a celebration of different themes. Each book has its own theme, but you include artwork, storytelling, poetry. I think that kind of sums it up. I mean, I'm simplifying it, but they're really quite involved, but that's more or less what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. So I had always wanted to homeschool my daughter, but I never thought there would be enough support or social groups that were there to kind of give me the support I needed to homeschool her. And so the pandemic had happened and we were homeschooling. I actually did take an initiative and found at her young age of 3, there were a lot of homeschooling things going on. So I was taking advantage of that. And I was an active CPA before I had her. And one of the concerns I just had for homeschooling was, well, what does she really have to show for it? So I thought, well, maybe we can do a book every year. And not only would that help her grow, but it would help me grow as a stay-at-home mom, a career-driven woman who is now home and homeschooling her daughter. I think I thought that was something that would just integrate me into motherhood, and also help get to know my daughter and help develop her as well. And so we started with The Art of Time, which, was our most simple book. I didn't write so much. In fact, when I submitted it to you, it was really just paintings with a little poem, and you encouraged me to do a little more writing. And I found that I really did love writing. I always loved writing poetry. As an accountant, I would write poems in my cubicle. And when we were doing The Art of Time, I have a friend, Ariella, who is into the arts, and I was trying to get her to paint the paintings for The Art of Time. And she just handed me a paintbrush, and we were doing watercolor. And me and Martina just really loved it. And so we just started painting, and from there, each book, we've been doing an art collection for each book.
Cool. Martina, what's this whole thing been like? I mean, as a kid, not many kids have an opportunity to kind of co-publish books with their mom. So what has all of this been like for you? Because you've been involved in each one of them and you yourself have grown. So what's that been like?
It's been really fun and it's been a good experience. That it feels like just fun, and it feels like you can put your expressions into it. And me growing up doing art books with my mom. Not a lot of kids do that.
No, exactly. How do you pick your themes? So Martina, do you have a say when your mom says, oh, like, I know your next theme is clouds? Is this something you guys discuss ahead of time and you exchange ideas? Martina, do you play a role in that?
We discuss it like when we're doing the book before, like like it's like ahead of time because
It comes to us, you know.
we get carried away. We get like different ideas, and we're like, let me change that.
Yeah, like for instance, Tendered Alabaster was about stillness, and we used statues as a example, a metaphor, a symbol for stillness. And we would do these little exercises standing still like a statue. And one of them was cloud watching. And I think we were on the hammock, and I said, you know, Martina, we should do clouds for the next one. And she's like, yeah.
And because they're very pretty and they're beautiful and they move into different shapes. And we thought it was really a creative idea to do that for the next book.
Yeah. And that's
Very
what's really
cool.
nice about the work too. Yeah, each book leads into the other one. They build. Every book I mention the other books within the work because it's building on top of it. And I think that's really cool and beautiful.
So now that you're at the very beginning of the Clouds book, we'll call it the Clouds book. I forget, Martine, if there's already a working title. I don't remember. But now that you're starting off this process, so walk us through what that looks like in terms of putting the book together. So I know you recently went to Colorado to look at clouds. Is that right?
Yes, and I booked a 10-day sabbatical for Martina and myself, and I booked a hot air balloon ride
Oh my
for
gosh, that's so cool.
for one of the first days, knowing, you know, it's very hard to get up on those balloons. I don't know if you know, right now Colorado is having a lot of tornadoes.
It has to be
Oh
a perfect weather.
So
Weather.
the winds, yeah, you might think it's a beautiful day outside, but the upper winds aren't having it. So by day 9, we got on that balloon.
Okay.
And I had told the pilot about, you know, the work and everything, and he said, well, this is the best thing for clouds because a hot air balloon moves just like a cloud.
Cool.
Very
Cool.
slow. And
Yeah, so
Nice.
we loved traveling for this book, and it's something I think we're going to incorporate for our next books going forward too. And you know, we're a little behind with the clouds and with the painting. Martina's writing a really beautiful long story actually right now for the cloud book, but I usually have a painting done at this point. But we're taking our time because we want to get a very unique style for the clouds, but also
Cool.
kind of have a little technique behind it as well. So we're just trying to develop that before we go.
So when you went up on this balloon, I just want to get an idea. Were you taking pictures of the clouds, or are you just kind of looking at them and saying, "Oh, look at that cloud, how that's moving"? How does that look like? Martina?
Go ahead.
we were taking pictures, but we were enjoying the flow. It was really slow, so I thought it was going to be really scary, and we were nervous at first, but then it turned out to be a beautiful ride. And I don't think there was any clouds in the sky, but then there was later on in the day.
But the idea was to become a cloud.
Yeah.
The balloon.
I get it now. I get it. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, that's very cool. And tell me a little bit about this story, Martina, that you're writing for the next book. You don't have to give it all away, but what is it about?
It's about like animals and one person actually. They go on like adventures, and there is a hot air balloon incorporated in there.
Very nice. Very nice.
And some clouds.
And some clouds.
Yeah. A pilot, like the pilot of the hot air balloon, is a cloud.
Okay, that's so cool. And do you like writing stories? Because I know you've contributed stories to, like, I know with Tender Alabaster, and even in the other book, you did a bit of writing. Do you like writing?
Yes, I like writing because it shows what the painting's about and how it goes. And I like the stories because I get a little fun in there, and it just is fun.
I get a lot of compliments about Martina's stories, and just she has a lot of wisdom that she infuses in there, things that I think as adults we don't really think of, and her imagination is wild.
And my mom's stories are just so funny.
What would you say to like if another kid your age is like, oh, maybe I'd like to try writing a story? What would you say to them about I don't know, whether giving them some advice to help them get started, or what would you tell them about why they should try writing a story?
If you want us to do a painting with it, you should add some like advice about the painting in there. But if you just wrote a story, I would say you gotta feel the moment like it's happening in real life, so you know like what to write. If you just make stuff up, your story's not gonna come good.
Yeah, our
Okay.
work is heavily focused on connection to the
Yes.
subject. We spend a lot of time doing that.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
it moves through. It's very easy after that.
Right. So now with this book, or with all of your books, there's also the incorporation of artwork. So how is this going to look like? You've looked at the clouds. You're also going to be writing some stories, Martine, or poetry, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, and I with this one, we definitely want to do a little tribute to the trip and our hot air balloon pilot, because he actually asked us if he can be included.
Oh,
It was
that's
kind
so
of
funny.
It was really cool because his mother is, I'm not sure if she's still alive, but she was a phenomenal artist, and her rose
Oh,
was
nice.
exhibited in the Smithsonian for 6 months. And so he was really excited about this next book.
Very cool.
Mhm.
And so what does a typical timeline look like for you? I know every book has been different, but on average, from beginning to end, I'm assuming, I know we're talking months, but what does that look like? How many months generally does it take for you, not to publish the book, but just to pull together all the pieces?
Well, I use the summer heat to paint because it's too hot to go outside and we
Okay.
don't have a pool. So we try to paint in the afternoon. So we get a lot of the painting done. And then the fall is such a nice time to write, because you could sit there with your tea or your cappuccino, and it's cozy. So that's usually my method. The spring, I'm getting into the subject, I'm doing my sketches and kind of, and then the winter, I'm pulling it all together.
Very cool.
Mhm.
So when you write, Martina, like do you do revisions to your story? So you write the first draft, and then do you go back and say, oh, I think this paragraph, maybe I should take it out, or maybe I should add a bit more of this? Like, writers do a lot of revision. What does your revision process, what's that like?
Sometimes I just write the story and I'm like, it's fine. But
Okay.
sometimes I say, so I have her type it a lot of times, and I say, oh, this idea, and so yeah, I go back and I try to like, I don't like that phrase, or it doesn't go with the story, and I add something new, and I go back and really look at it.
That's something I'm gonna definitely bring, more emphasis to, I think, this year, because she did diagramming sentences with her homeschooling this year. So I think she's more, at a level to go back and like nitpick.
Yeah.
But we definitely do read her stories, but she has, and I honestly find it refreshing.
Mhm. Yes,
But she's
for
of
sure.
the mentality, it's good, and it's very
Yes,
raw, and I don't want to
absolutely.
take that
Absolutely.
away from her.
No, I
But I
totally
think
agree.
she's starting to come to a little more of a place where she can kind of refine things
Yeah.
for the next book. Yeah.
Remind us how old you are, Martina.
Almost 9 in like a week, or like
Oh, cool.
3 weeks or
Okay.
something.
All right. So
June.
for the story that you're writing now, how in general, like, do you come up with the title first and then you write the story? Is the title the last thing that comes to mind? How does it look like for you?
Well, for that story,
Yeah, the one that
okay. Well, I sometimes do it first, or sometimes when I'm writing it, it sees how the if you have to see how the story goes, and if then you have to come up with a name. I usually do it at the beginning or the
Okay.
middle, not the end, but
Okay. Um, Martina, for a lot of authors, when their books are finished, then it's all about bookstores. But obviously, with your books being the way they are with the artwork, I know that you have a link to the artistic community. So tell me a little bit about that, because I know you've liaised with, I believe with a couple of galleries and some kind of gift shops. I might be making a mistake here at some point, but tell me a little bit about some of these people you've connected with about your book.
I mean, I'm not at the place I want to be, but right now, it's intentional too, because it is the art of time. Right now, I'm trying to get the content while she's still young and things. I mean, yes, ideally, I do have to get out there, but we have been at some bookstores. We've done some book signings. We haven't exhibited yet because I just have so many paintings, and these are collections. It's like, how do I pick one painting? But
yeah,
it's a goal.
How many paintings do you have now, Martine, across all the books?
I mean, I would do like 20 times 5, about 100.
Yeah. And where do you put them all? Like they're all on canvases, right? Like where do you store those?
Well, Martina's nursery, she moved out of that, and she's now living in the Rainbow Room, and her nursery is.
I don't think they know what that is.
Yes, they do. We've written about the Rainbow Room, but
yes, I've heard about.
Yeah, so we're storing them there. Okay. I'm trying to do more on watercolor paper, like larger watercolor papers, because I think I'll have more space for that. But yeah, at some point I got to figure something out.
But especially with the clouds with watercolor paper, because they blend, and the clouds need like the grays and the whites and the pinks, and so that's why we're gonna do a lot of watercolor for the cloud book, especially.
And, well, also just because clouds are made of partly water too. So
yes, yes, very cool. So if you had to give one word of it, not one word of advice, but what was one thing about the publishing process of these books, like the book design, whatever aspect you want to talk, whatever aspect comes to mind, was there something about the process that you think other authors should know about ahead of time, authors who are thinking of publishing their own books, like, hey, think more about this or prepare yourself more for that?
It depends on who I would be giving advice to. I would definitely say think it out. Don't rush into it, because it's an investment of your time and your money. What's nice about obviously self-publishing is you can always go back and make changes if you want to. I think our overall message is don't be afraid to be yourself. And also, I think we offer another message for these publishing books. I think, it's not always about selling the books from where I sit. You can use these books to develop a relationship, to educate your children, to grow your art portfolios. And I do believe in time we'll get the recognition we deserve. But in my vision, I haven't accomplished what my accomplishment is yet, because when she's 5 or 6 years older from now, that's when we're going to see what these books have done for her. So I'm not expecting a lot of sales right now. I'm just expecting my book and our happiness, and somebody has been buying my books. I do see, and I haven't been marketing, so that's a good sign. We would love more sales. I do have to sit down and look at that at some point.
Of course. And I mean, I can tell you, and obviously so much goes into just creating your books, marketing your books, that's a whole other thing. But I really think that what you guys have accomplished together over just a few years really is incredible. And I mean, it sounds like you're still, I guess we'll just have to see when Martina's a teenager, if she's still going to be a part of all of that. I think it would be great if it just continued. I think that would be so nice.
It might get to a point where we have the same subject in 2 different books. I don't know. It all depends on. It all depends.
You never know. Well, Martina, thank you so much. I think your story is so inspiring, and it was really nice to hear from the two of you about this very unique creative journey. And thank you so much again for being here on Write, Publish, Connect, and I look forward to working with you on your next book. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, and thank you for all you. We've been with you from the beginning, and you've been a pleasure, and we really enjoy working with you. Thank you, Alexa.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was so much fun. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.